Hello everyone, Lightspeed555 here. I just want to apologize for not posting a video last week. There were some personal conflicts that I was dealing with, and I just wasn't motivated to do a video last week. But anyways, here I am, I'm back again, and this is my response to this week's question posed by Sofia. So the question breaks down into three parts, so I'm going to answer each part. The first question that you asked was, how do we make decisions? Well, I did some research here, searching for academic theories on how we make decisions, and it's broken down into three parts. One is motivation, second one is thinking process, and the third one is actually deciding. So there are a ton of different theories for each one, so I pointed out the three most common ones that I feel are pretty common. Okay, for the motivation aspect, we got the first one is pretty common, cognitive dissonance, and this is the feeling of uncomfortable tension which comes from holding two conflicting thoughts in the mind at the same time. Now, this is often strong when we believe something about ourselves and then do something against that belief. So it's kind of the belief and your actions are not consistent. And we see this a lot with religious people who don't trust doctors, but when something bad happens, they go to the hospital. That would be an example of cognitive dissonance. The second one is consistency theory. It's when our inner systems, beliefs, attitudes, values, all support one another, and when these are also supported by external evidence, then we have a comfortable state of affairs. This also ties into relieving cognitive dissonance. And the third one is the sunk cost effect. This is when we put so much effort into something, we are often reluctant to pull out because of the loss that we will make, even if the continued refusal of jumping ship will lead to even more loss than you would have if you were to jump ship now. And you see this a lot in the financial arena, and for all you sports fans out there, you see that a lot with general managers not letting go of a player because they put a lot of investment into that player, even though keeping that player on the team will just lead to more loss on the team. So those are the three most common theories that for the motivational aspect of making a decision. Now, we're moving on to the thinking process. We have the bias blind spot. Pretty much we will view ourselves as being relatively unbiased compared to other people, and this in turn we don't compensate for our own biases. Now, not everyone's gonna feel that way, but I do catch myself a lot portraying myself as being unbiased compared to other people. The second one is hyperbolic discounting. Given a choice, we will choose a small benefit in the short term over a larger benefit in the longer term. I kind of think of this as instant gratification, and a lot of us choose short term over the long term for the most part. You know, in the case of global warming or something, people ask, well, this is not going to affect me in my lifetime, so why should I care about it? They're taking the short term, which is their life, over the long term, which is, you know, the survival of our species. And the third one is, and this is a very important one, is source credibility. People are more likely to be persuaded if the person doing the persuading is seen as being credible, an expert, and trustworthy. And this is a really important part of the thinking process, because sometimes people can't tell good sources from bad sources, and when they rely on bad sources and view bad sources as trustworthy, credible, and reliable, this will tend to lead to very faulty conclusions. So now we get to the final part where we're actually deciding. Now, there are a ton of theories on deciding here. So the top three ones I picked out, which are pretty common, is the first one is bounded rationality. Since we have limitations on our knowledge and limitations on our time to make a decision, we can only be rational within limits such as time and cognitive capability. So, you know, if you're ignorant on a certain aspect of a utility, say you're ignorant on the actual cost of it, and because of that you take the price that's actually overpriced and you're getting ripped off, that would be a case of bounded rationality. The second one is explanatory coherence. When we are trying to understand something, we will often build several candidate hypotheses as possible explanations. We will tend to prefer those explanations which explains a wide number of factors, are simple enough that require very little thought to understand, and are plausible enough so they can be easily explained from other information. So in the case of your friend being a complete asshole to you one day, you'll most likely say that it was due to him having a bad day. And that would be an example of explanatory coherence. And the last one is filter theory. We make some decisions through a series of selection filters. The more important, the more effort in filtration. For example, in the case of a relationship, there are stages where the criteria changes. Initially, it's a physical attraction, then it's social variables such as class and religion, then it's internal values, and etc., etc. So that kind of answers your question on how we go about making our decisions. It's kind of a three-part process there. Now, the second question is, what influences our choices? Well, ultimately, our belief systems influence our choices. It influences our choices, and it influences our actions. We don't make choices that contradict our belief systems. Even though there's the case of cognitive dissonance, for the most part, in general, we don't make choices that contradict our belief systems. And the last question you ask is, what is free will and do we have it? Well, you didn't define free will, so I have no idea what definition you're using in this context. So in this case, I can't really answer the second part of your question, since I don't know how you're defining free will with this question. But I've had a ton of debates with Mozza in the past over this, and I do agree with him now that the fact that we're subject to the physical laws of the universe, which limits us on what we can do, that doesn't by necessity disprove the concept of free will. And his concept of free will was that since we have the ability to make choices, that we must have free will. So the physical laws of the universe and genetics and all that doesn't really disprove that concept. But I will say one thing about free will. Free will versus determinism. With any debate, we get caught up in caricatures of viewpoint. So the caricature of free will is that the free willers believe that they can defy the physical laws of the universe and do whatever they damn well please, and they're not subjected to genetical disposition or any of that. That's a complete caricature of the free will view, and anyone who supports the free will concept will tell you that. But on the other hand, there's a caricature of determinism, and I kind of see it with Mozza's video response to Lacey, and that is the caricature for determinism is that if we lived in a completely deterministic world, then that would exclude all rational thought. Now, maybe Mozza will take objection to this, or someone else will, but I really see that as a complete caricature of the deterministic worldview.